What's going on, guys? Chandler here. So this is going to be my new segment on my YouTube channel called First Listen Review that is taken from my $5 tier full album reactions. So I react to the entire album, and then at the very end I give my overall thoughts and initial thoughts and a score on the album as a whole. So again, if you do like what you see and want to support the channel going forward, head over to patreon.com/ChandlerBurton Entertainment. This is exclusive to the $5 tier. Again, you get a full album reaction, review, and a whole bunch of other perks as well if you guys are interested. And again, there's always a link down below in the description and in the pinned comment. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and thank you all so much for watching. Alright, my friends, are you ready? Architects, the classic symptoms of a broken spirit. A little bit skeptical going in, but also want to keep an open mind. I don't want to go in hating it. So I'm going to try to keep that in mind here, knowing that it is different. And again, I'm cool with bands changing their sound. Like, I'm not one of those people where it's going to be like, oh, they should go back to their older stuff here. I'm cool with bands changing their sound. Sometimes it doesn't always work. So let's see what this album has in store for us here in 3, 2, and 1.
A few moments later.
All right. Okay, so I have to be honest. The first part of this album, I was like, dude, this is going to get an extremely low score because I hated it. But the last half, I actually really liked. So there's definitely a lot I want to say in regards to this album. So let's go ahead and jump into the first listen review that is coming up next. So stick around for that. All right, my friends. Architects, the classic symptoms of a broken spirit. We just got done jamming the entire thing here, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this album was a bit underwhelming for me here, I will be honest. It wasn't great by any means, but it wasn't all terrible as well. I thought it was gonna be the worst thing ever, but it was okay. It was just fine. So there are a couple of pros that I do want to talk about here. I would say pro number one, that the riffs actually are really, really cool in this album. Even the songs I don't really like Deep Fake, Tear Gas, and even like Spit to the Bone, I do not like that song, but I will say the riff is catchy. And it's very engaging. Like, it just sounds really cool. Like, Architects been doing this for so long, so they absolutely know how to write a really cool riff. Even though they're trying to change their sound a little bit, they still know how to incorporate those really cool riffs to bring people in. I think they do a good job at that here. I'd also say that Sam's voice is better than ever. Like, again, guy's 34 years old. He's been doing this for so long, and he sounds great. His singing, I mean, honestly, his singing is more in the forefront on this album. Again, if you're looking for like a heavy Architects album, this is not going to be it. But if you're going in looking at Sam's singing, he really stepped up to the plate, as he always does, and sounds really, really good. When he does scream on this album, it sounds very good as well. But again, since his singing is more in the forefront, it's easier to judge it on that. But again, his singing voice on a lot of these songs, especially like Doom Scrolling, probably my favorite song on the album, was really, really good. So props to him. Absolutely sounded fantastic. And I would say one of the biggest things about this album is that the production on this album is incredible. I don't know who did this, but every instrument, Sam's voice, all the guitars, bass, drums, keyboard stuff, everything had their moment to shine. Nothing felt like it was overpowering one another. It felt like everyone just had an even playing ground, and it sounded fantastic. Again, even on songs like Deep Fake and Tear Gas, where I'm not a huge fan of those songs in particular, the production on those, you can just hear that in like a massive arena and just people just going crazy. And that sounds like what this album is maybe going for, that more of that arena type sound, I guess you could say. So those three pros are absolutely, in my opinion, the biggest standout on the classic symptoms of a broken spirit. So now we jump into the cons, and I gotta be honest here, this album again felt undercooked and underwhelming for me here personally. The first thing I would say is that this album left me feeling nothing. I appreciate them as musicians, and I will be as respectful as I can. I do not want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't. But this album, while it had some really cool moments in it here, at least the first part of the album, I just felt so empty. Like, there was nothing there. There was never like a, oh, that was so sick, or like a really in-your-face type moment. To be honest, I was frankly bored with the first half of the album. Like, everything from Deep Fake down to Living Is Killing Us, the first 5 songs, I was completely completely numb to. I didn't feel anything on any of those songs, and honestly, Spit the Bone might be the worst one. That really forced bleh that they had in there, like, it just felt like, you know, people were wanting that back, so they just threw it in there to kind of please the older fans, but I thought that just felt way too forced, in my personal opinion. And I don't know, man, it just left me feeling a little bit empty, and a little bit like I didn't love the music. And that's a really big problem, because I really respect Architects, and I really, really, really like them as like people and as a band. It's just like, it just felt so empty. Not saying that it wasn't talented or well put together, I just felt really empty. I would also say this album is extremely predictable, and it's really repetitive. Because again, I know they're trying to get away, it sounds like they're trying to get away from that metalcore type music, which is totally fine. Like, I have no problem with people changing their sound, but like, even though the riffs are cool, it still just sounds very the samey, and like, you know what's going to come up here. There's only the last song, Be Very Afraid, was the only song that kind of surprised me, because that was more of a metalcore type song. But then it just felt really repetitive. Like, all these songs just felt really repetitive, like same chorus over and over, same song structures, those types of things. So it got a little bit boring and repetitive for me here. And the last comment I would say is that there is a ton of songs. Honestly, the first 5 songs on this album, Deep Fake, Tear Gas, Spit the Bone, Burn Down My House, and Living Is Killing Us, I can never listen to again. I really don't like those songs, and I may be in the minority of that here, but I can honestly skip the first 5 songs, and the rest of the songs I actually don't mind too bad, but the first 5 I could absolutely skip and never listen to again. Top 3 songs from this album are going to be number 1, Doom Scrolling. That was the first non-single that I was like, okay, this song's actually really cool. And again, it's not even that heavy, but it's my favorite song on the album. That's what I'm saying. I don't want people to think like I only like this band because they're heavy. I just want that, you know, I want something catchy. I want something that holds my attention. And Doom Scrolling did that, especially with Sam's voice and like the cool guitar riffs on that one here. That's my personal favorite song on the album, and that would be my vote to upload to YouTube as a clip. I absolutely love that one. Thought it was really cool. I actually really like Born Again Pessimist as well. That one, again, had a really cool opening here, had a little bit of screaming involved. Wasn't too overpowered with the screaming, but again, Sam's voice was really, really good on it, and that one kind of held my attention all the way through. So I do like that one as well. And then I would say the last song, Be Very Afraid. It's not their best metalcore track ever, and honestly, it kind of felt like it was forced onto the album, because, to be fair, it didn't really fit with the rest of the album when it came to the sound of this album, but it was just cool to get kind of like a heavier song on the album here. Really cool guitar riffs, cool moments from Sam. And so those are my top 3 songs that stuck out to me on the classic Symptoms of a Broken Spirit. Not going to sugarcoat it for you guys here. This album, in the beginning, the score is going to be really low. We're talking like a 3 or a 4. Like, I really was not enjoying this album. Again, I did not like Deep Fake or Tear Gas, the singles that came out here. The only single I really liked was When We Were Young. And so, yeah, the first 5 songs, I was like, this is either a 3 or maybe a 4 if I'm feeling nice here. But after we were young, and then Doom Scrolling came on, I was hooked. I was feeling it more and more, and the second half of this album really saved itself for me here. Again, I was teetering really, really low, but I am going to raise my score a little bit here. This album, I believe, still is a little undercooked. It's a little underwhelming. I felt like maybe a year from their last album may have been too short amount of time, because it kind of is just a continuation of their last album, in my personal opinion. I don't know which one I would like. I don't know which one I like better if I'm going to pick. But I feel like maybe a little more time in the oven could have benefited this album, in my personal opinion. Again, the last half I really enjoyed, and I thought there's a lot of cool stuff in there here. But overall, man, it's an album that I probably am not going to go back and revisit. I'm going to give this album, Architects, a classic Symptoms of a Broken Spirit. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I honestly was going to go way lower than that, but again, the second half really saved itself for me here. I mean, yeah. I mean, what can I say? Architects is a great band. They're super talented, but this one was a little underwhelming and undercooked for me.